Hey guys, Matt and Alex with Building the Dream Duluth, and we're here today with Kevin Evans and Ryan King of Duluth Whiskey Project. Guys, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourselves and a little bit about Duluth Whiskey Project?
Sure. Duluth Whiskey started way back when I just was interested in craft distilling. My background, I come from corporate banking, and before that the Marines and finance and that type of thing, but really was interested in making something. Of all things, I watched kind of the Surly Bill happen way back in, I think, 2011. Watched as it went through the state Congress, and what that did is, prior to that point, we didn't have the taprooms for the breweries, but it also took licensing fees annually for micro distilleries down from $30,000 a year to just $1,000 a year.
Oh wow, that really reduces the barrier to entry.
Yep. So that is why you saw these things start to happen, and why historically they hadn't happened. So watching that go through, I was like, that sounds like a really interesting space. I'm a whiskey fan, and I've done some craft brewing. I might be interested in that. And at the same time, I wasn't loving my corporate job. I worked at Nicollet Mall, downtown Minneapolis, for U.S. Bank as a institutional risk manager.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I was a bank analyst of other banks, and didn't love it. Wasn't super inspiring. We were doing a lot of stuff just for audit as opposed to a decision. It wasn't very competitive, and I was looking for something a little more, worthwhile.
Yeah.
Adding value to the earth, I think, was what I was missing in that position. So I had the opportunity, because my wonderful wife is a fancy doctor. She's a women's cancer doctor, and she was just finishing up her training. And, well, not just finishing. She was still a full year away from finishing her training. And she signed a contract with Essentia Health because they have a hard time getting her specialty up here. She's one of one that does what she does up here, and she pulls patients from all across the Northland.
Wow.
So knowing that we were coming to Duluth and that she got a nice little bonus there, I quit my job that day.
Sign the contract?
That's how you knew it wasn't the right fit. I see the light at the end of the tunnel, I'm out.
It was fantastic, but I was left with so what the hell do I want to do? My background, I tried different things. I've been in insurance, I've done, but really creating something and actually working with my hands was something I was interested in. So moving to Duluth, where I didn't have much of a network, I, do what everyone else does, and I emailed the mayor of Duluth. Said, hey, Don, I'm interested in distilling. Is there anyone in Duluth that I should know, that I should talk to? And he actually knew the Vikras socially, and he connected us. So even a year before we moved up here, November before we moved up in June, Joel and Emily and I met and decided to collaborate. So what that meant was I had the ability to work for free for them for the first, 5 years or so, always with the idea of starting my own brand, but kind of a great way to learn the industry from the inside. On top of that, to work with different type of people that I have never worked for before. I had come out of high finance,
corporate world, and
an MBA, and I wanted to turn everything into Walmart, where they were coming at it from a bit of a different point of view. Every one of their charts was a circle, and it was fantastic just to have, because who can't get behind clean air, clean water, things like that. So it was a neat collaboration. We really, really helped each other, and don't regret any of my time with them at all. But I always wanted to do my own thing.
Yeah.
So after 5-6 years of making Vikra products, I was able to, they had some excess still capacity up there, and there was a room that opened up next door. So I leased the room and started using their equipment to lay down some barrels of whiskey. That was about 8 years ago, which is how old our new releases are right now, is 8 years. So that was a great experience. We got to a point where finally it's time to totally jump ship, and started looking at properties and saw this place, but it was going to take quite a heavy lift to get in here. And it was a heavy lift. And I can go into that more detail, but I've been talking for a while. Want to hear about?
So I don't remember what the question was after that.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and Duluth Whiskey from your perspective.
Yeah, so I moved up here in 2013 as well. I had started one of the CrossFit gyms in town, and did that for a few years. That's how I met Kevin and Colleen. COVID kind of changed my perception of everything in the gym world, or ruined it for me. I didn't want to, it wasn't the same anymore after that. Got out, and then just randomly text Kevin one day what he was up to. I'd actually lost his phone number, needed it back, or wanted it back, and sent him a text and said, "What are you up to?" And he said, "Well, if you know anybody that knows how to run a bar, let me know." And I was like, this was via text, but I was like, "Well, how much are you going to pay me?" And that kicked everything off.
Yeah.
And here we are. And
Here's
I
the
think,
bar.
yeah, what we learned along the way is that his skill set is actually quite different from my skill set and different from Max or other managers' skill set. In a sense, like we all had the similar vision, but it was very different. Where he got to make the whiskey, I did a bit more of the build out. Max came up with all of the drinks and everything. So it was a good blend, and he's the sales rep for us as well. So like he gets to go do that. We all had our own piece of the puzzle. So yeah, I mean, I've been in town for a little bit, but in the fitness world, and then transitioned over. I've done all sorts of different stuff over the years though as well. So I guess kind of a bit entrepreneurial. So
Yeah.
it's worked out so far.
I think one of the things that I want to highlight that we see over and over again is hiring people who have strengths that are your weaknesses, and have different skill sets. I think that's incredibly valuable, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because if there were three of the same of you, you
wouldn't get
maybe
anything done.
yeah, you may have all
Yeah,
of the
right.
technical expertise in the distilling, but the managerial side and the build out side and then your other partner for the sales side of things, you wouldn't have all those things. So everybody, like you said, kind of fits together as a puzzle and provides their own strengths.
Yep.
And you hear a lot of people online like voicing like, oh, you shouldn't form a partnership. You should do it yourself. Keep all of your pie. But 100% of nothing is a lot less than 50% of something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we're looking at properties, and this place came open. It was on the limit, had a print shop in here, and they decided that they didn't need a complete storefront for their business. So I said, yeah, that looks great. We will take it. It came down to like, you need to sign the lease, we're giving it to somebody else. And I didn't have the financing completely lined up, and just getting the loans closed, because we started construction before all the financing was in order. So that was
Get it done, we'll figure it out later.
I was able to do the demo work and some of that stuff, like that didn't cost us anything.
Right.
you know,
Ryan
it's
just came in here with a hammer and he's like, good luck leasing it to somebody else now.
yeah, right. We're like, lease to who? But no, like that, it worked out well. But there was a bit of blind faith put into that. Like, we had the loans definitely took longer to close than we expected. But I was able
and there
to
was
work.
always fun little hiccups, like they reinstituted the SBA fees almost before we closed. It's an extra $35,000. You just lay it on fire. Just things like that kept coming up and pushing it back, and because it was a collaboration of 3 different financial institutions that wound up collaborating to get the over $1 million that we needed to get this thing rolling, to get this thing rolling.
On top of the financial things that you would deal with, what was the red tape like for getting authorized as a distillation facility and those types of licensing?
So I've been through it with the VCRAs,
Uh-huh.
and already had my license for the feds.
Gotcha.
It just
Yeah,
was
your
a change
ATF
the
or
location for that piece. So it wasn't quite the heavy lift, and I'd been through it once.
Mm-hmm.
The city, just as far as construction stuff, so there's always hiccups, but we worked with a fantastic general contractor and our architects and that full team.
They were able to kind of smooth out the ripples, the ups and downs. And then I actually randomly met the city inspector that was handling this project. And so they were out here when we were probably 3/4 of the way through everything.
Yep.
And I was like, you got a few minutes? Come tell me what's wrong right now? And he's like, sure. It was a great guy. I won't throw out any names. But great guy, came in and gave us a few little things that we were able to change beforehand.
Which
and
is
then,
huge.
Yeah, which was huge. And then when they did the final inspection, and we had worked with them and at the Fed level, and they had their big list, and we cleared all that up, right? And then they came back, and I think the only thing we had to change was our service door out the back was opening the wrong way. And having a great general contractor, they had that fixed the next morning. I called the inspector, said, hey, because we needed our certificate of occupancy. Called him, hey, that door's fixed. He's like, I haven't even gotten the paperwork done in yet. He's like, so we were good to go. That was the only issue we had from the build out. So that part, like working with the city, I think generally people think that's like always going to be
about it.
Yeah, everybody thinks it's out, but it worked really smooth for us. The people that we did deal with were pretty good.
Little caveat. It wasn't really clear. You know, you apply for a license from the city, you apply for a license from the state, but the city had to finish their bit. I didn't understand that before the state could issue their permits. So the state's sitting there waiting for the city, and they're not communicating, and you call and you call. And
on the physical end of stuff, build-out stuff, I didn't have to deal with any of that.
The paperwork,
but the paperwork side
is
that paperwork red tape's always there.
What time was the Founders Club grand opening? I think it was 4. I got my state license at 1:30.
Yeah.
Down the way.
You're sweating for a couple hours
yeah,
that morning.
I remember. Yeah, we were like, we got to commit to. You know, we had gotten approval from the city. We had to send everything to the
Everything
state.
was in, but it was coming up. It was like a Friday, so maybe they're going to be there at 3.
But we were in this like, well, we got to pick a date. We got to just.
We're inviting 160 people to come down.
Yep. And it worked out. So there was definitely some luck behind some of it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to hear that you guys' experience with the city and municipality was a positive one, because you hear a lot of times, especially people in California, they just can't deal with them.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine but it worked.
There's the reason we don't live there.
At least from the build outside, it worked out okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So what? Obviously, like you said, you guys kind of have each of your own strengths. What are your guys' roles specifically at Duluth Whiskey Project, and what are your day-to-day operations?
And what are the things you don't like to do? I like to hear that too.
So how I tried to develop our relationship harkens back to my time in the Marine Corps as an officer. I just think leadership is such an important skill set to have and to teach and preach to anyone you're working with. So it is set up now where Kevin is doing a lot of the strategic planning, outward, long, forward, as far as whiskey sales, product development, that type of stuff, as well as boatloads of. I bought myself a desk job. I accidentally. Terrible. Don't ever do that. Where Ryan is more in charge of, he does all the scheduling of all the staff and everything else.
Day to day and whatnot, and building standards of procedure, and obviously like I got to order all the stuff to make sure it stays staffed or stocked, and then like build the schedule. My least favorite's probably the I'm sick, call in, the typical restaurant type stuff.
The managerial side of things.
Yeah. But I do think we found a pretty good team of people so far.
Yeah,
and
we have fantastic staff.
Yeah, we've recently done more, like we laid out more of our core values. They were always there in the background, but it's always intelligent to lay them out and then hire based on stuff like that. And I think we did that. We got a people that just play the team game real well, help each other out, things like that. So it's been going well so far.
Yeah,
Even
really
only
has.
a few months in.
In previous experiences, have you hired staff before? Or is this your first time delegating?
Leading up to this, I was like, this build-up part, that's fun. That's I got to be the
people
kind
side
of the
of things,
creative.
though.
Yeah, I'm like, I am least looking forward to interviews. I'd done it a little bit with the gym, the CrossFit gym world. And I don't know, I'd like to say that I went with my gut. At the end of the day, that's kind of, you ask a bunch of questions, and I tried to come up with unique interview questions, but you go with your gut.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it worked out. And kind of back to that, like the three of us have very different skill sets, but we all had the general kind of same idea. Like
this is the direction that we're going.
This is the direction. This is how
Here's
we want
who
it
does
to feel.
what to get there.
Yep. At least us three were in the right seats, rowing the boat the same direction. You got to fill in some of the other blanks, but it's gone well so far.
Yeah. Well, and at the end of the day, the people that you work with, you want to enjoy being around them, and you want to know that they have your back and that they're going to
100%.
work for you as well. If you don't want to have staff that you guys don't connect well with,
right?
And can't, obviously at least trust to have your best interest in mind.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it.
It sounds like you guys are lead by example too. Like you're in here doing what you need to do. You have the same vision, and hopefully that instills in your employees as well.
Yeah. I don't think I joke that we did music trivia the other night. I hosted it. I'm like, at the beginning, like I'm on the mic. I picked out the songs. I'm playing it. I'm calling out the whatever. I'm like, just so you guys know, this was not on my roles and responsibilities chart before I signed up for this gig.
That's kind of the fun part of it.
Yes, but that part's the fun. But
yeah.
I kind of what he was saying, lead by example. Like, I've cleaned the toilets. I pick up stuff. I'll bust tables. I'll do absolutely anything to kind of help everybody stay, from getting behind, things like that.
Yeah.
And I try to by mostly just getting away. So
Yeah.
I can bust it. I can bust dishes. I'm good at that. But they've kicked me out from behind the bar. So
It's your bar.
Depends on how busy it is.
Yeah, true.
Get the hell out of here.
What have been some of the differences going from, obviously you had a lot of experience with distilling, but what are the differences going from that to actual ownership of a distillery and a restaurant?
And how those decisions change, because you may be following somebody else's like game plan or something, like we're going to do this type of batch. Like now that you have free range to make decisions and no one's here to save you, how does that change your perspective?
One thing we don't do very well as craft distillers is kind of hear what our customers want. We are so in love with our stills and the process and everything else that we're going to make the best stuff ever according to us. And I think there's something categorically wrong with that. There's probably enough great big bourbons out there that have, just the biggest vanilla notes with the perfect finish. But if you look at the statistics and the numbers of what people are buying, this blended whiskeys across the world, they want something with a much more approachable feel and a much lower price point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we're about giving the customer what they want. We got those big whiskeys with the vanillas. I enjoyed making them. That's one of my passions. So we're going to continue to innovate and make stuff, new flavors, and have fun with that type of stuff. But we don't expect that to ever take us to the moon. We're not going to be Jack Daniels with one product.
Yeah.
Fair.
We're going to try some stuff. We're going to try to fill needs that customers want, and we're going to try to do it at a price that is very competitive with the big guys, which is crazy talk if you're talking about
the volume and the resources that they have.
Truth of the matter is there's quite a bit of profit in there. So we think there's some room to play and to compete on price in spaces like that. So one of the most popular things in Minnesota is Canadian whiskey. What is Canadian whiskey? It's a blend of neutral grain spirit, bourbon, and rye. We can do that. We've got access to all those type of things. Within the state of Minnesota, you're required to distill at least half of what you sell on site, just because they don't want us to be as competitive as we possibly could.
Got to keep the little guys down.
Yep, exactly. So we follow the law. All of the neutral grain spirit will be distilled on site. So we're going to make the vodka piece of it, and the whiskey pieces we buy from other people, and at the same time we make our own stuff we like to make, but we are also going to be doing the scalable business of blending. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we've got a new product coming out that I'm super excited. Can I talk about this now?
Yeah. Floor is yours.
I am over the top excited about this product. This is me ecstatic.
This is big breaking news now.
No, we're gonna compete with about a $25 to $30 price point of something that is delicious, that is very much a Canadian whiskey style, blended whiskey. So blends is kind of an interesting thing because what blends is they are a mix of straight whiskeys with neutral grain spirit, and they've gotten a bad name in the U.S. because there was kind of a race to the bottom to put as much cheap neutral grain spirit into whiskeys as you possibly could. So you get things like I don't know. What's the stuff that's in a plastic bottle and costs $10 on the shelf. It's fine. It is what it is, and it just tastes like nothing. There's not any real flavor there. As opposed to Canadian whiskeys, or Canadian rye as they are sometimes called, there's a little more flavor. There's a consistency there behind it. I'm talking about things like Crown Royal, and there's a couple other ones. They're delicious. They're good. They're great mixers, fantastic cocktail drinks, and that's the space we hope to compete in, and I think it's going to be a big hitter because it's what people are drinking.
Yeah.
It's what they want.
And to be able to put like a local touch on it.
Yep, a local touch and a different flavor profile too. I'm not just copying exactly what they're doing.
Yeah. But something
we're
that
going-
people from here and from northern Minnesota can be proud of.
Yep.
This is coming right from you see all those big name brands that are in every single liquor store across the country, but this is something that's created right here in our own backyard. I think
Well,
that's really cool.
The idea came from I was watching Vikings play, and there's a big Crown Royal ad. I was like, that's interesting. Canadian whiskey supporting American football, which is actually owned by a British multinational.
We can do that.
Wait a second. What is this all about? No, it's a great product, and I think that's what people like. So I'm trying to hear the voices of the customer base and give them what they need and what they want.
Yeah.
And in a similar vein, everything we try to do out on the floor is to be, nice but approachable. We haven't even if you want to, maybe we'll have a tagline someday like classy yet authentic, something like that. The menu is meant to be both affordable and just broad enough for there to be something for everybody without charging an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
That's not what we're about, not what we're going for. Same with our drink menu. If we only, I know it's subjective, but we get pretty good feedback on our whiskeys. But if we were only chasing the whiskey connoisseur, that's a bit more of a niche window. So we've got the vodka, we've got the gin, we've got, we'll do the rum and agave in the future. But we've got the specialty cocktails, we've got seltzers, we've got all sorts of stuff to make it broad enough for there to be something for everybody.
Yeah.
Food and drink wise. Like I said, on top of it being relatively affordable with the state of the world right now, that's certainly something we were trying to approach and go, well, hopefully people appreciate it and tell their friends and keep coming back. And we just make that snowball bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and that will keep people coming back. They enjoy the product, they like the atmosphere, they like the staff, and that's what it takes to run a successful restaurant as well as a distillery. It's good product, good people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every restaurateur that comes in here says your prices are too low. Yeah, maybe.
Ryan, what about you? How have your past experiences helped to this point? Obviously, like you said, you've done a lot of different things. You've got experience in a lot of different places. How has that helped out with the Duluth Whiskey Project?
It's a good question because I've done everything from like cutting trees down, sales, home security install, auto shops, whatever.
Yeah.
Really ran the gambit.
A little bit, but I think the gym was like the biggest learning experience where I had to learn how to be in front of people. I had to learn how to, operate a business. I had to just, grow as a person, and so that was certainly
You figured it out.
the biggest. Well, and that part, I think something that I learned along the way is that I wasn't afraid to fail, so I would jump into things and just figure it out along the way. So I think that's certainly a strength of mine that allows me to go, like, as soon as we figured out that like I could be the GM, I was like, okay, I'll quit my other once it was appropriate time. I didn't have a significant other to back me up to just not be able to work. But when the time came, I didn't have any problem just going, nope, I'm out, I'm gonna go do this and hope it works. But I've coming from the gym world where you constantly help people on a day-to-day and the CrossFit space is, small group settings, you get to know people pretty well. It's not just a 24-hour gym where you don't really know everybody's name. You learn how to interact, you learn how to deal with all sorts of different personalities, things like that. So I think that helps from a like managerial standpoint of dealing with the ups and downs that come along with it.
And dealing with people too.
Yeah, dealing with people. It's 100%. So.
Yeah, one of the things that comes up often is that people think they're in one business, but in reality, they're in a people business. Like, if you can't manage the people or do things with people, your business just kind of falls apart.
100%.
I'm interested on the back to get whiskey again. What's your guys' process for finding, besides the new Canadian whiskey, like what sparks your interest to like try a new blending technique, to try a new flavor note? Like, what's kind of the muse leading some of that? is it all just personal self-discovery, or is there happy accidents that happen?
It's a big collaboration with myself, and then I have some fantastic people that work in production in the back, and I have purposely not given them do this, do this, do this. Explore. Figure out what you like. Figure out what you want to try. I want to hear your ideas. They have done some amazing, amazing flavors and profiles. I mean, what is it, like smoked pecan wood soaked in gin, things like that.
Yeah.
Just sounds delicious, and it is delicious. I don't know how the hell I would market it.
They're kind of mad scientists back there. It's great.
I think that unfortunately, the size of the market for it is about 12 people, but it's delicious. Really good job. It's delicious.
12 people are going to buy the hell out of it.
Yeah. But we're doing things like that, and we're still learning. We're learning every day. Every time we do one of these processes. I mean, I've done this for 10 years, and I feel like I've barely scratched the surface of understanding where flavors come from within the spirits. So it's more just of an adventure of finding out, and we're going to continue to do all that. And we're also going to be very specific on some things that we want to have a certain flavor profile, and this is the exact market. So it's external, not just internal, but it's also some of the creative piece in the back. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
We're trying some stuff, but we're also being very focused on some other things.
You have the things that you've created and that you know is kind of your staple, but you also, as your own distiller, you have the freedom to try new things and put things together that maybe other people haven't tried before.
And
that's got to be a lot of fun.
That makes their job interesting, and
Right.
it keeps the employees engaged, and I love the fact that they have their creative aspect to it.
Yeah.
Even might have to rein it in sometimes.
No, so far I have. Well, it's always financially.
Yeah.
I'd love to get you guys everything you want, but
Even out on the floor, we're going to do like 2 or 3 holiday drinks, and we have like 8 because it was like, well, this is good, and this is good, and this is good. It's like, well, it's not hard to just throw it on the specialty menu and
If
and
somebody
go for
orders
it.
then it's worth it.
Right? But
So what, as far as like from the business standpoint, what have been some of the biggest challenges at starting a distillery that, and originally it wasn't going to be a restaurant, right?
yeah, I kind of never saw myself even having a cocktail room. I was like, I just want to have a whiskey factory and make booze. But then I saw some of the cash flow that comes in through cocktail room, and I was like, I need to have a cocktail room. And if that's the case, we're going to do this right. We're going to do it big, we're going to do it loud, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Because I did see that this could potentially become a huge distraction from the external business. So if I allowed myself to not hire Ryan and try to do all things by myself, then I'd be focused on getting a band in here, as opposed to what's our next stage of marketing for whatever next flagship product's coming out. So it's that was the journey.
we, in the beginning, not having a kitchen was kind of due to the hood system cost an arm and a leg, right?
Yeah, it's
Definitely necessary.
$250,000 to $600,000 you can spend on that.
Yeah.
Fire
That's just
suppression.
a
like-
hood.
Yeah, just for the hood fire suppression system. Then we randomly came across these, what are called combi ovens. And we're like, wait a second. Self-contained hood, everything, you can do it. They're 15 to 30 grand more if you want to get bigger ones, whatever. But we're like, all of a sudden that number is
A lot more palatable.
way less. And even buying all the fridges and freezers and everything we needed back there was, significantly less. And we knew having the food
It's essential.
was going to be necessary to keep the seats full. We do still have the problem of we still got to tell people, yes, we're like a restaurant. We have food here.
And the food is great.
We got to market that.
Multiple times.
We got to market that a little bit. But other than that, once we figured that out, it's like, oh, okay, sweet. Well, now we have an avenue. We have a route to get the kitchen set up and done, and we don't have to spend an arm and a leg. And I think it's gone well so far. Early on we had some issues with how long it took everything to come out, and so we had to make some adjustments and changes and things like that. But that was probably going to happen no matter what. And I think we've sorted out most of those. We're certainly not fast food, but we don't want ticket times going over 30 minutes.
Right.
The one downfall of having that combi oven is when it does get full, we've got nowhere else to put stuff. But I think we've sorted out where it's the best word. It doesn't take too long. I think it's within reason.
And you have good food too. I mean, I can attest. I've probably eaten here half a dozen times already, and I've had everything from, this is off the menu now, but I had a lobster roll the first time that I was in here that was incredible, and mac and cheese and tacos. So there's a an array of different foods that's all been really good.
Yeah, we certainly want like something kind of back to that, nice but approachable price. We wanted something that was obviously above standard bar fare, but not that super high end.
Yep.
And I think
Not
we
a
kind of
steakhouse type of deal.
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't have to be ridiculous. And I think we've hit the nail on the head. Can't please everybody, but we've gotten a majority of good feedback on everything. So, but we're always happy to hear how we can do things better too. So
Yeah.
And so all these ideas that you guys talk about and things that you implemented, are these all just bounced between the three of you, or do you have outside mentorship besides the initial distilling thing? How do you guys come up with these like things to try and what to test out?
Throw it at the wall and see if it sticks.
Yeah, we're doing some of the spaghetti throwing right now.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to your stuff in the back, certainly, but that's part of the fun of it for them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Other big Blue Arrow business ideas. I definitely can't say strong enough how much I lean on mentors.
Yeah.
Everything from raising capital to strategic questions. One of my mentors was a Fortune 500 CEO for a number of years, so I have no insight as to how the big company will react once we start being a pesky little fly on their side. But it concerns me because they have endless capital and they probably have a lot of power within our space. What are they going to do, and when could I expect for them to start to take notice of us? So it is great to have somebody like that to bounce it off. To my other mentor who said the day I was sweating over, should I sign a lease? I don't have any idea when we're going to be able to close the bank loans. Like, you'll always regret it if you don't.
Yeah, and if you're persistent, you'll figure it out. I mean, I think persistence is something that pays off.
Hopefully we'll figure it out.
Fingers still crossed.
Have you seen interest rates? Jesus.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
Yeah, I think out on the floor, we don't go maybe too crazy with random ideas.
Yeah.
But that's more from a sense of like, once you find your lane, it's good to not go after the shiny
need to
things.
deviate.
Yeah. And there's things that will still change, how often we have bands and stuff like that, and like the music trivia. We've only done a week, but that may eventually turn into something else, and little things like that. But in general, we want to keep it consistent. We want to have it be a very welcoming place, and stuff like that. I don't think it's as crazy out here. It's like, just don't mess it up.
Right.
Don't mess
stick
up
with
an order.
stick
Don't
with
mess
what's
up.
working. Yeah.
Yep.
So to wrap up here, what have been some of the really inspirational moments, or the things that are like, hey, we're doing this. This is really cool. What are some of the things that have stuck with you since in the timeline of the project?
For me, some of the highlights have been the live music shows that we've had. It's a blast. It's super fun to have all the folks in here, and fantastic music, and everyone's happy, and that's been fun.
Yeah, I was thinking those came to mind when it's like a packed house. So grand opening weekend, just seeing the support and stuff like that. Some of the other, the bands have been a blast too, and it's gone, pretty smooth. I think I look at it from that standpoint. Like, it's always great to see the numbers, but it's like, but is everybody getting served and taken care of? And I've had to learn things like, didn't have enough servers on for that one, and stuff like that. But certainly, like, I pay attention to that stuff and try to make a change for the next time. But yeah, I don't know.
Seeing some of the growth in my employees is fantastic.
Yeah.
Just watching them step into roles that they probably didn't imagine themselves, as we try to push them into leadership places, maybe even when they're not ready for it, type of thing. And just, this is the expectation, and you're going to fill it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess the last thing I wanted to ask is, if you were to speak to somebody who's looking to do something similar, what advice would you have, or what things have you learned that would be helpful to somebody in looking into something similar?
It's gonna take longer and cost a lot more than you imagine.
I think that's good advice.
Yep, opening any
Prepare.
business.
Be more prepared. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's fun anyway.
Yeah.
Don't worry about not going exactly to plan.
Yeah, you gotta be okay with failing in some stuff. You know, not every drink hits, not every food menu hits. You know, our heat was off yesterday for a little bit in the middle of winter. Like, there's stuff that's gonna happen that's gonna stress you out. You gotta be able to roll through that sort of stuff. Have good mentors. You know,
100%.
people that will reassure you that, like, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
You'll be okay.
Yeah. And people that have maybe gone through things that you can look up to and ask questions to and learn from.
Yep.
Network.
Oh yeah.
And play golf.
Play golf.
Makes
You
it
heard
easier
it.
to
Kevin
find
Evans, Duluth Whiskey.
Fantastic way to build your network,
was gonna
especially in a
say,
smaller sized town like this.
Yeah.
Definitely network and some downtime covered in one.
Or
But-
own a gym so you meet everybody in town.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's how I got here.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Trust your gut.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Cool. No, well, guys, Kevin, Ryan, I really appreciate you guys sitting down with us.
Yeah, it's great.
Thanks so much for sharing your story.
Learned a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks for the
Appreciate
interest.
it. Yeah. Thank you guys.